Sorry about that. Being a couple minutes late here. Welcome everybody to this afternoon's town board work session of Monday, March 24th, 2025. And ask everybody to please rise for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We have a couple items on the work session. The first is a presentation of the open space inventory and prioritization plan. This is the first time this is being presented to the town board. We're going to have Dan Howard and Roberta Rapocio come up and do that first. Then we'll go through our town board meeting items and potential consent agenda. There is not currently an executive session on the agenda. There is one item I do need to brief the board about regarding a potential Article 7 and a tax challenge that was brought to our attention today.
Sure. Yeah.
And so,
Pending
so
litigation.
I am going to do that at the end. That said, Dan, do you want to come up? Or
I
you're going to
was,
introduce it? Sure.
yes,
Go ahead.
I've been working with the planning department and a couple of my committees over the past 8 months, I think, to work on this, and we've given regular feedback and worked with Roberta pretty closely. And I'm going to make some comments at the end, but we're going to let her take it away from here.
Thank you, Jackie. And good afternoon, Supervisor and members of the board. I'm Roberta Rapocio. I'm an associate planner with the Planning Department. So I'm going to talk to you today about the agriculture and open space inventory and prioritization study. We had contracted with Fisher Associates to help us with this project. We worked with Frank Armento and Sarah Martin from that firm. And I just hit click this way? No. Yes. Okay, so this study came out of the the Farmland Protection and Agricultural Development Plan. The town received Erie County Agriculture grant money funding for this particular study for $15,000 to prepare this open space inventory and prioritization plan. The purpose came from, again, the Farmland Protection. This effort stems from the recommendation from the Conservation Easement Program set forth in the recently completed Farmland Protection and Agricultural Development Plan. And it's one of the goals to protect key areas of viable farmland and parcels with important soils and natural resources within the town that are suitable for permanent protection through the use of agricultural open space and conservation easements. There's two different types of easements, open space and agriculture. So the goal of this study was to identify undeveloped properties in northern Amherst and create a prioritized inventory of these parcels for the town to consider for conservation and open space protection. And the resulting inventory will be used, hopefully, as a tool to inform future comprehensive planning and conservation efforts. I don't mean to read, but this is the first item we received from the consultants. We got this map represents all undeveloped parcels north of the peanut line and our right of way. You can see that line there. If you look, I don't know, do I have a pointer? I don't know, but you can see North French is sort of just north of that line, including those parcels that are owned by the locally owned by the town or by the county and the state agencies. So that includes those parcels. And they found a total of 733 parcels that were considered undeveloped just north of that line. That's quite a bit of parcels, actually. With those parcels, they developed two sets of criteria to evaluate the parcels. One is based on agricultural features, and the second was based on open space features. So all 733 parcels were reviewed and scored by those criteria. So under agriculture, it was criteria such as parcel size, if they were active agriculture, if they were part of the agriculture district, and so on. And then under open space, it was such criteria as, again, parcel size, proximity to natural streams and buffers, presence of wetlands, and those types of things. So this is the result of the actual inventory and prioritization. So of the agricultural properties, 14 parcels were located within or adjacent to the ag district, scored 60 points or higher. The points were based on 0 to 100 scale and put into tiers, and the top tier was 60 to 100 points. So anything in that category we considered priority. So that was 14 agricultural properties. You can see those outlined in the brown color. And those, as you can also see, are within or adjacent to the agricultural district that already exists. Oh, and if you see those green parcels, those are actually parcels that are already in conservation easements. So they're all pretty much adjacent to those properties. Open space are the parcels, we had 66 parcels scored 60 or above. That seemed like a very large number still and a little bit out of practicality. So we decided to further refine that and choose parcels 80 points or higher. And that included 6 parcels, and those are in the blue outline area. So that's a total of 20 parcels that were identified with the highest priority for a new conservation easement program. So for the priority scoring for agricultural land, it's just by agriculture. So the dark, like rust colored here, that's the acquisition, sorry, not acquisition, that's the highest priority. And those are within the green, which is the existing conservation easements. So you can see it sort of creates like a more of a cohesive agricultural area if we can put these properties into conservation easements. That would be a good idea. Also with this particular map, for the first would strengthen the agricultural district. Like I said, if we could preserve some of these lands, it would make it more cohesive. And the second thing it could do would be, it could avoid the farm and housing land use inconsistencies and conflicts that sometimes arise when you have agricultural land abutting residential property. And then lastly, this is for the open space prioritization lands. 66 open space parcels were scored, and those are in the dark blue. So there's a lot of them, and they're kind of scattered. And then in the red circles are the 6 that were prioritized based on 80, the score 80 or higher. The second circle in there, that's actually 2 parcels, so that's why there's only 5 circles, not 6. So some of these parcels of the 66 could become open space in conjunction with adjacent proposed developments, so we could capture those without putting them in easements. Others could be donated by town owners, property owners that, you know, been sitting on property that they know they won't use or are environmentally constrained. And then some of them may not be developed at all because of the environmental constraints. So that's basically the results of this project. Is there any questions or anything? I know we went and the actual report goes in further.
I have a couple specific questions
Sure.
based on our report. So first, you've got, if you go back to the acquisition map,
Map 1?
back
Yeah.
1 slide.
Oh yeah, I will go back. I think I got that.
No, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
539, which is sort of at the nexus of Young's and Casey.
Yeah,
That's a parcel I believe the town's already acquired.
yes. And you will notice that some of these properties are already acquired by the town. However, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be conserved.
So
That's why
this is so I think
I
that
want
Or an
to
easement.
clarify, by acquisition, we are not talking about.
yeah, you're talking about putting it into a conservation
Conservation
easement.
preservation, yes.
That's what we're talking about, whether it's owned by us or private property owners.
Which will lead me to my next question,
Okay.
which is, should we think about a different naming convention for this particular map?
A different, I'm sorry. Yes,
Actually,
absolutely.
I was Going
Yes.
to, when we get to
We didn't have
accepting
time.
the report, talk about having them go back and change a little bit of the language to make it clearer. This is the language that the county uses, but it doesn't match with what we're doing. So
It's
we need to
misleading, yes.
make it
So
make more sense.
So the other parcel, which doesn't show up on any of the maps as a thought, is the top, forget how many acres of Muir Woods, which was in acquisition by the town.
I think it was
But
on
that's
there. I think it's
already-
on there.
Oh, Muir Woods.
Muir Woods.
We don't own it yet.
It's
It's
there,
in
isn't
the
it?
process of being donated still.
Well, I understand, but the goal is to keep
Yes,
that, take acquisition of it.
but I
so-
thought it was on here.
Okay, we can
So
add,
it's not highlighted. If you look at the map, right, you see where?
it's the purple with the little spike right above the peanut line. Is this a pointer?
Now, if you go to
Ah, right there.
so that's actually the portion of Muir Woods, which is along Dodge, which is being developed by Severin.
There you go.
That portion of it is, I believe, south of the area that we're talking about.
Okay, so let's
you mean up in
have them
here?
just
I think
verify.
their parcel's wrong, is what I'm
Okay.
saying. So we're getting this portion here.
Oh, okay.
That portion there is what Aspen had planned as their second round.
Okay.
And this portion is the portion along Dodge, which is currently through planning board.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I think they got their parcel, so we'll fix that. Thank you for pointing that out, Supervisor.
This is a study done at a certain period of time.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm just
They're undeveloped as of now.
Right. Yeah.
right. I'm just with that. That's fine. It's just that we own a portion there, which would make sense to put into a conservation easement or have a discussion on,
We
which
can
do-
add it to the
Yep.
report.
which is currently not prioritized. But then we have a portion that was planned, and we accepted the site plan or the zoning for, which is listed as a tier 1 parcel. And that's why I say I think their parcels are inverted.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
It's just check their SBL numbers. Something's off with their GIS. Okay. Other than that, I don't have any questions.
Anyone else?
Yes, so, thank you to the supervisor, but if we're using terms of art here, can you give a brief definition of what acquisition means in this context versus conservation easement in this context specifically, if we're looking at different naming conventions? Just because I'm using colloquial definitions and I would like to understand better.
Yeah, I'll explain conservation easements. I kind of have Dan talk to the acquisition. What a conservation easement is, depending on the type of property it is. If it's an agricultural conservation easement, the owner still retains ownership of the property, so the town wouldn't own the property, but the development rights, which is sort of that ethereal part of it, is owned by the town or Conservation Land Conservancy, like the Western New York Land Conservancy would own whoever's managing the project. It's usually through agreements. Same with open space. However, open space could be owned by the town and still be managed under a land conservancy, like Nature View Park, for example. So that's kind of the difference with the land conservancy. So the town doesn't necessarily own the land in some of those cases, and especially in agricultural, it's still owned by the owners. Do you want to talk to the acquisition?
Well, I mean, it could be. So acquisition's probably an unfortunate use of the word for this. And really, in the context of this, we're talking about acquiring easements on those properties. It's not to say the town couldn't acquire. We have people approach us all the time wanting to donate land or whatever. You can call that donation, you can call it acquisition. We've had a couple conversations with Councilmember Berger, and we think maybe that there's a way to clean up that disparity or disagreement with terms in here, and we probably would do that.
So you're talking about acquiring the conservation easement, not the property
Could
itself?
be, it could be any form of
Property.
transfer that the town either.
So
control.
conservation easement is exactly what I thought it was. It's just conservation in front of an easement. Acquiring might be just only the rights.
Could be, or it could be owning the land outright.
Okay.
So like the
yes.
supervisor just pointed out, the property in Audubon that the developer is donating to the town.
Okay.
That could be acquired that way as well.
So there's an acceptance on the agenda for this evening. My thought is that we would accept it pending correction of SBL numbers on the Muir Woods site, and a clarifying
Paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
That was what we had discussed earlier, but we didn't catch the Muir Woods.
Is that any board members have any issues with that concept later?
I don't have an issue with that concept. I just want to fully understand. Your letter attached to the resolution references recommended for acquisition under a town conservation easement program for those parcels, like as you talk about the front of the study. Are we agreeing by resolution that we will be starting acquisition process, or this is something that we will
No,
consider going forward?
This study simply identifies those parcels that we should think about in
Appreciate the
terms of those easements. And I think maybe one of the best uses of this will be along with some of the other studies that we're working on that will help us identify what our priorities are for planning in North Amherst over the next couple of years. If we get into a comprehensive planning process or something like that, this kind of informs that, just much like the SA land study that you saw a presentation on a couple months ago.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions, thoughts, curiosities? Thanks both. Okay, we're gonna move on to our board meeting items and potential consent agenda. So first, we do have several public hearings tonight. The first is the 2025 Fire Protection District contract with Swarmville. Second is the 2025 water line improvement and replacement bond. I don't know who's presenting that later. Jess, you're presenting it, okay. Resolution 292 then is public hearing on sanitary sewer. Is that you as well? Or nope, Jeff or Vishali? Vishali, okay. All right. Moving forward, we have an authorization of the Strategic Economic Development Professional Services Contract, CRS 5386 with Bolton St. John. Any questions regarding it? They've had a contract. This is an extension. Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 294 is Williamsville Farmers Market. I should clarify that in 293, they do represent us with downstate development agencies who are interested in the Boulevard Mall. That includes interaction with Empire State Development. So Resolution 294 is Williamsville Farmers Market 2025 license agreement, the Village Preservation Foundation, CRS 5387. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Okay. Councilmember Berger, you have that resolution 295, although I think we should hold it and add those two corrections. The correction of the SBL numbers at Muir Woods, and then
Okay.
so we'll just amend it tonight.
Mhm.
Councilman Zuccalli, you've got a resolution 296 to set a date for a public hearing for parking restrictions on Steinway Court, Maple. Any questions regarding setting that public hearing date? Any reason to withhold it from consent? And resolution 297 is to set a public hearing date for the Homecrest Drive and Hillcrest Drive all-way stop intersection. Same question. Any issues with putting that setting that public hearing via consent? Any reason to withhold it? Resolution 298 is the Amherst Community Diversity Commission. I'm sorry, Councilmember Marinucci has the Amherst Community Diversity Commission appointment.
Yep,
Questions about that?
he's wonderful. I'm excited for him to join us.
We're excited. Any reason to withhold that from consent? We'll welcome him aboard. Resolution 299 is a Cooperative Operations and Maintenance Agreement Extension, OPRHP, CRS 5390. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Okay. Resolution 300 is a land lease agreement, 1265 Smith Road, CRS 5389. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 301 is the 2024 Service Award Program mandatory 30-day posting period. Any questions regarding the award program? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 302 is the appointment of the town prosecutor. This follows last week's appointment or last meeting's appointment of a town attorney. Any questions regarding the resolution?
I just wanted to clarify, the town attorney will be starting April 10th, right? Is this appointment as of now or as of the 10th?
As of the as of it'll be congruent with
At the
his
same time.
appointment, yes.
That was the only clarification.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 303 is our settlement of Article 7 matter for, I think it's supposed to say Ridgely, is it not?
No, it's Ridley.
it is Ridley?
That's how
Okay.
it's,
Yes.
how the.
All
caption
right,
reads.
well, what do I know? The Ridley Associates LLP versus the town of Amherst. Any questions regarding that settlement? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 304 is amusement license for the REI grand opening. Any questions regarding that amusement license? Any reason not to grant it via consent? Resolution 305 is the new firefighter for the East Amherst Fire Company. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 306 is permission to auction surplus old office furniture. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 307 is budget transfers and amendments. Any questions regarding those? Any reason to withhold them from consent? Resolution 308 is an award of bid 2025009, maintenance of vacant and unmaintained parcels. CRS 5395. Any questions regarding that award? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 309 is an award of NYSG OGS mini bid 2025010 for 2 Ford F-150s for sewer maintenance department, CRS 5399. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 310 is the DOE rebate voucher for Rink refrigeration equipment, town of North Town Center, CRS 5359. Any questions regarding the rebate? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 311 is an award of bid for the Audubon Library Playground, Town of Amherst, Project 2024.022. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 312 is a highway work permit for National Grid Meyer Road. Any questions regarding that work permit? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 313 is a highway work permit for National Grid Cayuga Road. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 314 is a highway work permit for National Grid new inline poles. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 315 is a laborer for the Building Maintenance and Facilities Department. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 316 is the automotive mechanic in the police department. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 317 is maternity leave without pay, police department. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Or not the appointment, the maternity leave. Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 318 is recreation leader, senior citizens, senior services. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 319 is recreation supervisor, town, youth and recreation. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 320 is youth service program coordinator at youth and recreation. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 321 is recreation attendant part-time youth and recreation. Any questions regarding the appointment? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 322 is purchasing clerk for the highway department. Any questions regarding the resolution?
I do have a question.
Sure.
I'm wondering if we could strike the last line on replacing an employee that transferred because it's not an actual replacement. It's a like position change.
I don't have an issue with that. I think
would
we were
just
just
prefer for
trying to, yeah, that's fine.
That was my only thing. It's in the budget transfer amendment. I think it's totally fine, but I
Just
just,
do that as an amendment, or can
I'm
we
fine with
just
the
strike it
Scribners.
as a Scribner's?
I don't know if that matters. If we just remove that last line, I think it requires more nuance than replacing because I'm neurotic.
Zach or Sam?
But in reality, it is replacing a person
We
who's
were
left.
changing the
They
position.
changed the title, but they didn't change the work.
Well, they should have. It's a $10,000 increase. It's in our budget transfer amendment. They did change the work. It's not a replacement.
It's additional work, yes. Okay.
Well, to
So
me,
it's
that's not a
it's a
replacement. That's where I'm
positional
saying it
change, right?
requires more nuance than that simple
Does anybody have an
sentence.
issue with us striking that via Scrivener's error?
I do not.
All right. Anybody have an issue with that Scrivener's error correction with us putting this on consent? Okay. Resolution 323 is an approval of for supervisor to execute an amendment to grant agreement for the New York State. I should go back. So for clarification's sake, the highway department has had a person dealing with purchasing. They're in need of additional clerical work. There's a person that fits the role of purchaser and clerical. That person is moving into that position. The previous person, or the person who had been in the role of purchaser, is still with us, but they are taking a position within sewer engineering, basically, to do purchasing and finance stuff.
Actually, they're not doing purchasing
Well,
and
not
finance.
purchasing. Okay, what they're, I don't know what the role that.
I'm very happy they're both staying. I think they're great employees. I
One
have
is
no
moving into
issues with
one,
that.
one
I
is
just
moving
had
to
a
the other.
issue with the wording.
Okay. So that's the expansion of duties. Resolution 323 is an approval of supervisor to execute an amendment for grant agreement for New York State +1 accessory dwelling unit program, ADU, CRS 4000. Any questions regarding the amendment to the grant agreement? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 324 is to authorize the community development staff to exceed the $60,000 loan limit. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason not to do that, or any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 325 is to authorize the community development staff to exceed the $60,000 loan limit. Again, any questions regarding that access? Any reason not to allow that via consent? Resolution 326 is to authorize the supervisor to enter into a subrecipient agreement with the town of Cheektowaga for the management of activities funded through Home Investment Partnership Program, CRS 5401. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 327 is to authorize the town supervisor to enter into a subrecipient agreement with the town of Tonawanda for the management of the activities funded through the Home Investment Partnership Program, CRS 5379. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold that one from consent? Resolution 328 is the Eaton Office Supply Company Incorporated purchase of office furniture, CRS 5391 for police. Any questions regarding that purchase? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 329 is the State of New York contract for grants, New York State Department of Health, CRS 5383. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 330 is a travel request, required operator training courses. Any questions regarding that travel request? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 331 is the 2024 Year 21 Stormwater Annual Report and signature of MS4 Operator Certification form for e-reports, Town of Amherst, job 900101. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 332 is in waste activated sludge flow meter replacements, temp press CRS 5392. Any questions regarding the resolution?
I'd like to hold this just for a vote tonight.
Resolution 333 is the Laboratory Heating Mantles Fisher Scientific Company Incorporated, CRS 5388. Any questions regarding the resolution?
I'd like to hold this one as well.
Okay. Resolution 334 is award a bid for Camden Group Infrastructure Rehabilitation Services LLC 2025 sanitary manhole rehabilitation project, Town of Amherst, job 2025.001A. Any questions regarding the award? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 335 is 2025 to 2026 preschool fees. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 336 is emergency purchase authorization R22. Any questions regarding that purchase? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Resolution 337 is an emergency purchase authorization for a boiler. Any questions regarding that resolution? Any reason to withhold that from consent? Resolution 338 is the Youth Leadership Development Program, CRS 5382. Any questions regarding the resolution? Any reason to withhold it from consent? Communication 23 is the notice of claim for Dejan Tate versus the Town of Amherst et al. Recommend we receive this, refer to the town attorney. Any reason not to do that via consent? I do have, as I mentioned earlier, an executive session item to adjourn to this afternoon regarding potential Article 7 challenge to tax valuation. I'm going to motion to adjourn to executive session at this time.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.